You are about to enter the Cyber PD podcast. Cyber School Pedagogy lives here. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Cyber PD podcast. Co-hosting today are Agora Elementary School PD coach Kelly Quackenbush and me, Agora Middle School PD coach John Thomas. Kelly, why don't you tell our loyal listeners about today's episode?
I would love to, John. Hello, everyone. We are going to be discussing a mentorship program today that we use here at Agora, where some of our high school students get themselves involved in mentoring some of our elementary school students. And while we're discussing this program, we have quite a few guests. It's a full house here at Cyber PD Podcast. Today, we have Rebecca Adams and Lauren Wilson, who are instrumental in developing the program. We also have Amy Lutz, who is a kindergarten teacher, and our high school student mentor, Eric. She's working in Amy's room. So welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I think that was a thank you from everyone. I don't know. There's so many people it's hard to keep track of. But I would like to start with where the program began at. So Lauren and Rebecca, I'm going to start with you two. Can you provide us a brief overview of what the high school mentor program is?
Sure, I will jump in here. This is Rebecca. Lauren had reached out to me in January after the first semester ended, and she was curious if the National Honor Society students would like to come down into the elementary program and be a mentor. And I was absolutely all for it. The National Honor Society students are awesome at what they do. And I knew once I introduced it to them that they would be on board. So I had Lauren fill me in a little bit, which I'll let her talk more about it. But she had mentioned it would be supporting learning coaches with independent work for the breakout rooms, or check-ins weekly with the students, and to do flashcard meets, working on fluency skills. So I was all for it, and I ran it past the high school principal, Jeff Miller, and he was all for it. So we hosted a meeting in January for the National Honor Society students, and I let Lauren come in and do some more talking about it, and we had some signups, and we had a great amount of students sign up for it. Actually, I think we had more sign up than we needed or that fit into the schedule as well, which was awesome to see. So I'm hoping that we will keep doing this in future years, but I will definitely let Lauren talk more about it.
Yeah, and I have to say, Rebecca, since we started, we did the first round of pairing up. I was the matchmaker for a while. I felt like I was working for a matchmaking company, making sure that the students' needs and the times and everything were set up just appropriately so that everybody would get the proper support. But actually, as more teachers and students learned about the mentoring program, we've had more sign up. So thank goodness we had those extra students willing to volunteer their time and work with our elementary students, because I think everyone's paired up now. So and the program's actually grown. It actually started in the elementary school through our MTSS system. So many teachers were reaching out that they just needed extra hands in their classroom. A student who needed, help with fluency, or, someone else in the room like Erica and Amy are going to talk about here in a little bit. Just to help those younger students whose, parents at home might have multiple students at Agora, just getting an extra set of hands and helping out. It started out pretty much one-on-one pairing, and it's kind of turned into classroom modeling. It's turned into flashcards. We've even started a learning lab in our 3rd grade where one of the high school mentors comes in and helps the kids in our supplemental programs, which the kids absolutely love because it's a high school student helping them when they have questions and it's not coming from a teacher. So it's kind of organically growing into this wonderful partnership, and it's so nice to get that help and support from the high school.
And I'm sure that high school students are way cooler than the teachers are. Like the students think the teachers are cool, but those high school students, I'm sure, are so much cooler. So I'm sure that helps too.
Absolutely. Erica, you might want to speak to that. I know you're way cooler than I could ever be.
I've only known Erica for a minute or two, Lauren, but I definitely think she is way cooler than you already. And Lauren, I feel as though you've already answered this, but just in case we missed a piece of it, what was the driving force behind developing the program?
I mean, the main driving force came from our MTSS tier system. Here at Agora, we have our MTSS framework, and we really look at academic needs as well as behavioral needs. And when we saw some of the behavioral needs, parents wanting more support, they have multiple children in their home, and one student might not get all the help that they need. Students like to draw on the whiteboard as they write, and maybe just having that high school mentor there or someone to look up to, even being a big brother or big sister, somebody to check in with weekly. It just makes such a difference in these students' lives whenever they have somebody to look up to. So as the needs came about, we were able to supply those additional tiered supports for our students.
And you guys already covered several of the benefits of the program, but are there any other benefits that you see from the instructional coach standpoint or the MTSS coordinator standpoint of the program that you've seen so far?
I'll jump on in here. It's Rebecca. I actually, just from word of mouth traveling through, I actually had it come to me that if we could do it in the high school as well. Now, I know it's a little different having a high school student mentor a high school student, but along the lines, they were interested in if we did have some students that would be willing to do that as well. And I definitely agreed to it. I said, look, we would see how the rest of the year went with the elementary program and then maybe bringing it into the middle school program and then into the high school and so on and so forth. But I definitely see the benefits of it working just along the lines of, like Lauren said, it's not the teacher, it's the student and student interaction that is definitely helping more than hearing it from a boring teacher, as the students would say, even though we know all our teachers are awesome. But so I am looking forward to it. So I do see that benefit of it being a good relationship between the students in different grade levels, let alone in their own grade level.
I just think that it's so important just to have those extra set of hands. Teachers' days are already stacked, and it's not that they don't want to get out there and help that extra 30 minutes or help for that extra hour or push those extra supplementals. The students using the supplemental programs, it's a volunteer opportunity that the high school students are enjoying, and it's helping our younger students. So it really fills a need that our school has here.
And I love that this program is growing organically and you're just taking it day by day and adjusting and adapting to what needs to be done. I think that's absolutely amazing. Is this something that's in the works for next year as we start thinking ahead to the next school year?
From the National Honor Society perspective, yes, I absolutely am all for continuing this program into next year. It did take a little bit to get it up and running, and thank you, Lauren, for getting all that together and playing the matchmaking. So yes, I'm hoping to see this next year, of course, to start it a little bit earlier in the year and get that worked through easier. But yes, I am all for it, and I know the National Honor Society students are as well. They enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, and I've even talked to the middle school MTSS coordinator who's interested in it as well. So I think it'll just continue to grow, and I'm looking forward to it. So in September, hopefully we can start that matchmaking again. Although I don't think Mrs. Lutz is going to let Erica go. So I don't know. I think that's a match made in heaven right there.
And speaking of Mrs. Lutz, I would like to bring her into this conversation now. And as a reminder to our audience, Amy Lutz is a kindergarten teacher here at Agora who has a high school student, Erica, who's also here with us, in her classroom mentoring her students. And Amy, I want to ask you, how has having Erica in your classroom affected your classroom?
Hello, everyone. Yes, as we were talking about the program continuing next year, I already have my request in for Erica. So to briefly summarize, having her in my classroom has made a huge impact on all of my students, as well as me. In the chat, participation has increased phenomenally. Every student is sending in chats now, and Erica is quick to respond, and she is way cooler than me, even in the chat. So my participation has just skyrocketed, not only in the class that Erica has joined me in, but my entire day. It seems just them knowing that there's another person who cares and another person that wants to see see them succeed. So my entire day has increased by having just that extra set of hands to help me with the little kindergartners. And as you have mentioned before, many of the families have students in multiple grades from kindergarten through high school. And so those babies, those kindergartners need more hands-on than some of even the learning coaches are able to provide. So having Erica in my classroom with some of those students has really increased their participation, and not to mention their scores have so increased, and there's no greater excitement than when Erica and I see like, yes, she did it. And, we're back and forth in our chat. Like, that's our whole goal. Like, yes, they participated, they're doing their own work and that kind of thing. So she has just been such a huge help in my classroom. So I do want her back next year.
Well, it sounds like Lauren has missed her calling as a matchmaker, because she created a fabulous match here. So kudos to you, Lauren. You've just created a wonderful pair. So keep up the great matchmaking. So Amy, when you're planning a lesson and Erica is going to be there, how does that change your instructional plan?
Just knowing that I have that extra set of hands in my classroom has really just lightened the load, knowing that every one of my students will be reached by her or I. If there is a student who doesn't seem to be participating or doesn't know what to do or doesn't know the directions, I'm able to send Erica a chat and say, hey, can you grab so-and-so and just make sure they're there? Or, hey, that kind of thing. Just making sure that every one of our students is being reached is so exciting. And the students, they love her as well. Like, she's so cool, and they're sending her chats and telling her hi and sending her their answers and stuff. So it's just been just having her there and helping with every single one of the students. That's my favorite part.
So whenever she first came into the classroom, was that an easy transition for the students to have somebody else in the classroom, or did it take a while to adjust to that?
Oh, it really was a match made in heaven, Lauren. It really was. Like, she just fits right in. She came into the classroom and she's so willing to do anything. In all honesty, she sends me chats, we email back and forth, and she is so willing to do anything that I ask of her. I'm like, you don't have to do that. And or she'll suggest, like, hey, can I go and do this? Or, hey, and it's just phenomenal because she's thinking ahead of me. And making suggestions, and anything I do ask, she is on top of it. Or many times I don't even have to ask, and she's already doing it. And I'm like, hey, where's Erica? And I'm like, oh, she's already thinking I needed that. So it really is phenomenal to have her in my room. In fact, I had her scheduled to work with one student, and I had emailed Lauren and said, hey, if so-and-so is not present in class that day, can Erica work with this other student? So I don't want her just sitting there not doing anything. Like, she's so valuable in my classroom, and I have so many students that can benefit from her. And so I want to use her to her fullest potential. And like I said, she's just all hands on deck. She just takes the role, takes the lead, and just does more than what I can even ask of her. So she just fits right in, and my students love her, and they love her. We all love each other in their classroom.
It's a happy kindergarten classroom. I love it. Well, let's move and turn to Erica. And by the way, everyone, Erica is our first student guest that we've ever had on the Cyber PD podcast. So Erica, we want to welcome you as our first student guest. And I think we've already established you are our coolest guest that we've ever had on the podcast. So Erica, what made you decide to volunteer as a high school mentor in an elementary classroom when this all began?
Well, hello, everyone, and I'm very honored to be part of your podcast. So I decided to volunteer as an elementary high school mentor because I just love to help in any way possible. I love working with elementary students, especially kindergarten students. And since I'm the oldest of three sisters who are all Agora students as well, I feel that's where my love for helping students came from.
And what are some of the ways that you do help the students in the kindergarten classroom, Erica?
So I was assigned to help two students. So in the beginning of class, Ms. Lutz does an activity called Mad Math Minute. So I take my student to their breakout room and have them read numbers such as 1 through 10, and they have to read the numbers that they know in 1 minute. So every day I track their progress to see if they're getting a bit further than they did the previous day, or what they need specific help on. So I also help them with the breakout room activities and make sure they complete their work. And also during class while Ms. Lutz is teaching, like she says, I just monitor the chat box. So I reply to students' answers and just provide them with some positive feedback.
That now I understand why that extra set of hands is so valuable, because I can just imagine. So with all those activities that you get to do, what is your favorite part of being in the kindergarten classroom?
My favorite part of being a high school mentor is definitely the kiddos. They are so welcoming and they make me smile every morning. I love working with my 2 students also. They are doing such a great job and they are improving every day. And I also enjoy working with Ms. Lutz. She makes me feel so welcomed and very comfortable. So I'm honored to work with her and her students.
And I'm sure you're making them smile too. You're probably brightening their day just as they are brightening yours. So imagine there's another high school student here at Agora, and they're thinking about joining this program, but they're not quite sure if they would want to. What would you say to that person?
I would say to be a high school mentor because it is the most rewarding experience ever. They will not regret the decision to become a mentor. And as long as they are encouraging and helping their student or students, they're going to be just fine. They'll do great.
Those are wonderful words of encouragement. So all of our high school listeners, you heard it from Erica. Look into the high school mentorship because it's definitely going to benefit you as well as some other students. This has been absolutely amazing. Does anyone have any final thoughts on the high school mentorship program that you would like to share with our listeners?
I just want to say a huge thank you to Rebecca. Without her support and everything to get this going and getting off the ground and helping get the survey and the students ready, it wouldn't have been possible. So just a huge thank you to Rebecca. Also, to Erica and the rest of the mentors, they are making such a difference in these students' lives and in these families' lives. And if there's one thing that's Agora centered around and focused on is supporting our families and making them feel welcomed here. So thank you for all of that. And also for the teachers for opening up their doors and allowing this all to happen. It's definitely helping them. It's helping our kids. So it's just a wonderful experience to be part of this. And I'm excited to watch it grow next year.
Yes, I have to chime in. I want to thank everybody as well, Lauren, for bringing this idea to the table and the teachers for letting the National Honor Society students in. I'm proud of my National Honor Society students and so glad that they wanted to join and be a big part of this new program. So thank you to everybody involved, and we definitely will be doing this next year.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of the Cyber PD Podcast. I would like to thank all of our guests, including Erica, Amy, Lauren, and Rebecca. It was a pleasure talking to all of you today. And what a great program we have here at Agora with the mentorship program. I hope to see it grow here at Agora, and I hope to hear about it growing in other cyber schools as well. Remember, we have great episodes like this coming to you on a regular basis, and you don't want to miss a single one. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or on your favorite podcast catcher. And if you have feedback about the show or ideas for future episodes, share them in the comments section of our blog at cyberpdpodcast.blogspot.com. And finally, whether you're a student, a teacher, an administrator, or anybody else, we all have a lot to learn in this world. So please keep learning. Thanks for listening to the Cyber PD Podcast. Tune in next time for more cyber pedagogy.